Please stand for the Tech Addicts podcast. This week, we attempt to talk about the OnePlus Pad, Logitech self-repairs, the Ticwatch Pro 5, Samsung Galaxy S23 FE, Sony's Project Q, and the HTC Universal. Hello and welcome to Tech Addicts, the nominal tech podcast. Just learning what words mean this week, folks. I'm here joined by Dictionary and Thesaurus Man, Ted Salmon.
Hello everyone, greetings indeed from North Wales, and how are you today, Gareth?
Well, I am absolutely on top of the world because I've missed doing this. We didn't do one last week because I had things to do, so, yeah, 2 week is a 2 week structure is hard to go by, hard to adjust to whenever you just love doing this so much.
Yeah, mind you, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Our fans will love us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you never know, maybe one day we'll go back to weeklies if I don't know, I retire or something.
Yes.
That'd be cool. Cool. All right, so, well, I suppose a bit of a weather report. Looking out the window here, it's nothing but blue skies as far as the eye can see, which is quite limited because it's a Velux window, so I can only see a certain aspect of, could be grey clouds all around it.
That square is blue. Yeah, the same is true here. It's all blue sky. It's going to be warm again today, and it seems like the summer is here, doesn't it?
Yes. But I did notice that various members of the MeWe group have suggested places that you might like to consider living to keep you happy in this climate. There's, say, Bergen in Norway, Vladivostok, I think it was.
Vladivostok.
That's the one, flows off the tongue very easily. Yeah. Apologies if you're from there, but it does sound rather cool. British Columbia, which is out in Canada kind of direction, as is Vancouver Island, which is off the west coast of Canada. These were all mooted. I'd say Vancouver Island. I've got some cousins that live out there.
Yeah. Vladivostok is the place that I used to see on the world map of climates, and it was always the coldest place on Earth. I think it's up somewhere in Russia near to
oh yes, that's right.
Yeah, it's up heading towards north, but it always seems.
Is that where that big diamond mine is, or something?
Is it?
Could be.
I suppose there's a Bond film based there. Anyway, My perfect climate in response to all this is, right, here we go, 10 to 15 degrees centigrade in the daytime, 5 degrees to 10 degrees during the night, a light breeze but not too strong a wind, sunny in short bursts but mainly overcast, with light to medium rain on some days. I also want it to be dark by 7 p.m. and not light again until 7 a.m. the next day. And I quite like snow, but I don't want snow if I've got to go anywhere on my moped. So There's my perfect climate, and that's why people, I think, have said, yeah, you need to be living somewhere else rather than where you are.
Well, yeah. Well, I take it is this during a particular season? You
know, no, all the time.
Right. I don't know what to suggest because I don't think you'll be able to get that all day, every day.
No, I mean to be fair, living in the UK is actually quite nice that we do have seasons, and it does change. I do, all joking aside, we're quite lucky in that respect, because some places it's just like baking hot all year round, and it gets. I got some friends who live in Zambia, and at 6 o'clock every night it's dark all year round. That's it, and 6 o'clock in the morning it's light all year round, always the same. So we do get change, which is quite refreshing, I suppose.
Yeah. I suppose you're out with the Just Stop Oil people going, look, it's going to get really hot and I'm going to get really angry if it gets any hotter than it is right now.
Too right.
You're a protester, I see.
Anyway,
Okay.
on the back of all that, I've got the doors and windows open, so train noises this week will be louder.
That's perfectly acceptable. I've got a couple of windows open here. If you do hear magpies, it's because some of them are nesting over there, and they've got little magpies, baby magpies. I don't know what you call them, but baby ones, and they're fiercely hungry and fiercely protective. And we've got two cats who try to eat the little birds, and seagulls and things like that. So there might be action outside that window at some point this morning. All right. I'm going to bring it to the Tech Addicts podcast because it's kind of projector room related, but I'm going to say it here because it's tech related. I figured, watching a few videos on things that you could do with ChatGPT, I would go and try and do some of my homework for Projector Room using ChatGPT.
Okay.
Not reviewing films, because I prefer to do that badly myself. GPT would just show me up, and then people go, hang on a second, you didn't write that. There's not enough ums, ahs, or incorrect opinions. But what I did was, because at the end of the show, we do the final curtain. And I thought, instead of having to wade through things like Wikipedia and news articles and stuff, I would ask ChatGPT what actors have died recently.
Oh, right.
And I thought it would give me a nice little list. But it didn't.
Oh.
It says to me, as an AI model with a knowledge cutoff of September 2021, I'm unable to provide real-time information about recent events.
Oh.
I was not aware that ChatGPT and OpenAI actually had an end date of things that they could curate information from.
What's the question? Which actors have died recently?
What actors have died recently? Yes, with a question mark at the end.
With a question.
Please,
Please
tell me.
I'll put it into Bard. Which one did you use?
ChatGPT.
Okay.
OpenAI.
What actors have died recently? Question mark. Here we go. See what Bard says. Come on, Bard. Reward me. There you go. Here are some actors who have died recently. Sidney Poitier, Bob Saget.
Saget, yeah, that was a while ago.
Michael K. Williams, Gilbert Gottfried, Betty White.
That's quite old then.
These are just a few of the many actors who have died recently. It's always sad to see talented blah, 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 blah. And it does give a kind of bit of a rundown of each of those people and when they were born, when they died, and blah, blah, blah. So Bard, I guess, has done a bit better there.
Okay, I'm going to challenge you a wee bit more. What actors have died in the last 2 weeks?
What actors have died in the last 2 weeks? 2 as in the number, or...
Okay. No, that's wrong.
Is that number 2 or TWO?
That's 2 weeks. The last fortnight? TWO.
It won't know. TWO. Right, I'm going for TWO. Which actors have died in the last TWO weeks? Question mark.
No,
Michael Constantine, David Warner, Paul Ritter, Charles Grodin, John Madden.
No, they all died a long time ago. And it's given you a different list to me. It says Peter Bogdanovich, Sidney Poitier, Sally Kellerman, which was a good long while ago, John Madden, and Norm MacDonald.
Yeah, these are
John Madden isn't an actor either. He's a NFL
American
coach.
football coach. It's obviously not great, is it? And
No.
the dates are in 2021 here on a lot of these. So yeah.
Right, so it must suffer from the same thing. It's got a cut off too.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot of rubbish, isn't it?
It is. It is. I think it's all made up. Right. So now we've torn asunder AI garbage. Let's move into the hardline for the hardware. So Beijing has banned Chinese companies from using Micron chips in their critical infrastructure. This sounds really quite a serious topic that we're talking about here. And I'm thinking that the listeners are probably going, hang on a second, this is far too serious for tech addicts. Shouldn't we be listening to this on a more responsible ones? So, Ted.
Well, it would appear to be tit for tat stuff going on because because of what Trump did, and we don't want to get very political here, but the ban on that America made on Huawei particularly, but also another huge list of companies. The interesting thing here, though, is that what they're saying is that, well, this is according to the Wall Street Journal, the CAC ban, it's unfortunate, isn't it? The Cyberspace Administration of China, CAC, the CAC ban does not apply to non-Chinese firms in China. So if let's say you were Apple and you had a factory or office or whatever in China, then that ban wouldn't apply to you. Does the same apply the other way around? If you were a Chinese company in America, would America's bans apply to you?
Right, okay.
I don't know. I can't work out the answer.
But then, are there any American companies still functioning in China? Did they not move out? The likes of,
I don't know.
I think we saw, was it Apple moving to Thailand? Or
not all of it, though. There's still some infrastructure, I think, left in China. We're obviously ill-informed, so ill-informed as to be able to hope to cover this story. It's
so the best thing to do would be for us to quit our jobs, go and work for an American company in China, and then flog the chips out the back door.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's probably what is going on. But it does appear to be tit for tat, doesn't it? The whole China versus the West thing is just bit by bit taking off. No doubt they're in the pockets of what Russia are doing in terms of technology as well. So who knows what the world would look like in 10 years' time? Perhaps it won't be here.
No, it'll be very much a Mad Max zone, apparently.
Yeah.
According to, anything in the media. OnePlus Pad has finally been made available in the UK and across Europe as well. And it's a very nice looking pad at that, or tablet. I prefer calling it a tablet because that's pretty much what it is. Pad is like an iPad. It must be really disappointing to invent something and then have a crap name be put against it. I'd much rather try and reinvent something that's going to have a catchy name on it instead of just calling it the OnePlus Pad.
Yeah. They're trying to get the Apple users, aren't they, across by using terms that are, like iPad in this case.
Look at Motorola. They made the Zoom ages ago, spell it with an X, to really mess up everybody's day. That was great.
It was great, you're right. But it's all about familiarity, isn't it, in this case, and trying to get stuff across. We did cover this story. I think the news this week is the fact that it's been rolled out to Europe, and for us that's good news, because previously it was all locked up in the Far East and we couldn't get them without jumping through hoops. So I think that's what it is. How much is it? It's quite well specified.
£449, and it comes in Halo Green, which is a type of hoop for you to jump through. Yeah. It's 8 gigabytes of RAM with 100. I don't understand.
Oh dear, she should go back and try and help Bard work properly, not shout at you.
Absolutely, she's got things to be doing, not actually listening to me. 128 gigabytes of storage. I don't see a listing for a processor here in the description.
MediaTek Dimensity 9000.
Oh, I see. Right, okay. I stand corrected. But it has the one. It comes with a charger which has the SuperVOOC 65 watt stuff built into it, which is really quite cool. You can get accessories as well, including a stylus and a magnetic keyboard as well, but they cost £100 and £150 respectively, and there's a folio case as well, which is £60.
The whole lot of that's going to cost £700, isn't it?
Yeah, you might be better off buying an iPad for that.
Yes. Incidentally, there was an issue with the bundle charger apparently, because in Europe they were being supplied without a charger. And because of European legislation or something, and in the UK they are being bundled with the charger, but now they've turned tail on it apparently, and they are supplying people in Europe with a charger after all.
Right. Well, that's good then, because they are pretty expensive things to have to buy outside of that. I actually have my Chromebook currently hooked up to my SuperVOOC charger. No, is it Super? It's Oppo. Yeah, that's SuperVOOC, isn't it? And it's not doing a damn thing.
It won't work, no.
I know, it's a pain in the ass.
You've got to have a SuperVOOC charger, a SuperVOOC cable, and a SuperVOOC enabled device. And this is the argument I've got with these dumb Oppo phones. It's just so annoying that they're capable of really, really fast charging, but you've got to carry all the gear with you in order to do it.
Yeah. And it's not even that it provides any charge at all to my Chromebook here. It's not sort of keeping it on a low charge or anything. I'm trying to keep it alive.
It's too much for it. Is that the one that came with the Revo 8 or whatever it's called?
Yes.
Reno 8.
Reno 8, yes.
Right.
No, my battery is slowly dying.
Oh
Pain
dear.
in the bum.
Anyway, this is a nice big tablet, isn't it? 11.6 inches, and it's got a good resolution screen. That Dimensity 9000 will be absolutely fine. There's a 256GB, 12GB version as well. UFS 3.1, which I'm assuming means that it's got HDMI support for Alcatel or whatever. 4 speakers. And it doesn't say if there's a cellular version of it or not, or if they're all Wi-Fi.
And it's a nicely designed tablet as well. It does run. It's ColorOS is on there, isn't it?
Oxygen.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot they merged it all together, didn't they?
Yeah.
But I still think that's one of the nicer overlays, and I have my Reno, which I still use from time to time, and I quite like it for that.
Yep, this comes also with Android 13 out of the box. Well done. Are you listening, Motorola? And, Oxygen OS 13.1. So it's bang up to date. It'd be really interesting to get one, but not for 700 quid.
No,
Ha.
no. Sorry, what?
Ha!
Oh, right, okay, I thought you said something else beginning with F, ending in K, and has an uck in the middle. Right. It's a bit taken back there.
I would
Okay.
never say such things.
Logitech has joined the growing list of companies with self-repair programs.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just looking, there's a picture of someone taking apart an MX Master 3, which is something I've done in the past. When I spilled coffee over it and had to open it up and try and clean it to get all the stickiness out of it. But
If you had the kit, you could have done it more efficiently.
I didn't need a kit.
Well, if you get if you follow through the links to the iFixit page on this story, you get to this Repair Hub website, and it takes you. I took my my MX Keys keyboard as an example, and I went to try and replace the battery in it, and apart from one part of it where you've got to heat something up. With a hairdryer or whatever, it does look fairly simple. It's just that at the moment, although they've got all the instructions about how to do these things, the parts are not available. So it tells you how to replace the battery in your keyboard, but you can't actually get the keyboard. And apparently that's coming somewhere down the line. So you can practice in the meantime.
Ah, right, okay, yes, you can take it apart. And I think the one problem I had, because having studied engineering back years ago when I was but a lad, taking things apart is half the fun. Working out how to do it successfully and putting it back together successfully makes you feel like you've achieved something. Following a guide, like a manual that comes in a box with something, is for saps. So I suppose this is kind of good if you're doing it for someone else, maybe but if you're trying to do it with your own stuff. But the problem I had with the Logitech MX Master was when I put it back together again, you had to put those pads back on it, and I couldn't get a good glue to do it. In fact, I have that problem with my Chromebook. When I opened it up to see if I could put more RAM or an SSD or anything into it, all the little pads that cover the screws, they just don't stick very well. 3 of them do, 1 of them doesn't, and it's all using the same glue. Anyway, what can you do? Yoo-hoo just doesn't perform as it used to on the battlefield.
Super glue.
Yeah, I think that's what he used.
Mind you, if you put super glue on it, you'll never get it apart again.
No, here it is there, actually. It's Loctite Superglue Power Gel.
Right. Well, that should be alright then, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's a load of rubbish.
Totally. Right, yes, moving on to something else now that I've picked up that glue and having to set it back down sensibly on the corner of my desk, precariously on the edge of this desk. The Asus ZenScreen is a portable monitor that you can take with you, hence the portable part of that.
If you take the cable.
And the cable, yes, and you probably need something to power that as well.
There's no battery in it. This looks really, really nice, but when I was looking through the specs and everything, I suddenly realised there's no battery, which means that portable doesn't mean it's really portable. You've got to take a cable with you, a bit like a VoIP Oppo charger kit.
Well, yes, yeah, and then you need a nice tech bag to purchase. I did actually look into these because I was tempted to buy one at one stage, and I saw on YouTube there seems to be a sort of stream of videos of people showing you the best way to be able to power one of these on the go, and which one to get in order to be able to attach a power bank to it, and which power bank to have,
right.
Which is light enough but delivers the correct amount of wattage to be able to keep this going.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a whole thing out there where people do this. I'm just actually looking at the picture of this. I didn't realise that bit on the back formed or works as a stand in both directions.
Yeah. Nice,
so it'd be a lower angle and a higher angle. It is quite good. What are the specs on this?
Well, the thing, the Asus ZenScreens, I had one of these before, ages ago, and one of them, back in the day, did have a battery in it. That was really, really useful. But at the time, the screens were just not very good. Now, this one is claiming that it's an IPS panel, 2560 by 1600, WQXGA, with 120 hertz smooth motion technology. I mean, basically what they're doing is that they beef this up to say this is no longer like the Zen screens of before, which are a bit ropey. This actually is a very decent, bright, fast-moving screen, and this will... and I guess this is why it's hit the news. It's something new and good and better than it was before.
Is that your baby woken up?
Oh, don't start. Not baby is the last thing I want.
You have to stand in the doorway with a ladle smacking it in your hand going, "Shut up, kids."
They're going over the bridge. There's these families that are going to the beach. I mean, for goodness sake, who'd live by the seaside?
Is that the bridge with the trains on it?
Under it.
Oh, right. The trains go under the bridge?
Well, it's a footbridge.
Oh, right, okay. I was imagining they came over a bit like River Kwai or something. I imagined you lived down there, a bit like Alec Guinness.
Yes. No, people seem incapable of walking over a bridge and not shouting and screaming. And because it's made out of metal, jumping up and down on it. Arr.
Right, okay. Electrify the bridge. Right.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So there's a new leaked Google Pixel 8 Pro video that shows a new design and the built-in thermometer. There's a nice lady who is taking her temperature by rotating the phone camera around her forehead to her temple in order to take her temperature, which I think is an interesting new thing to have, I suppose. There's a biometric sensor up by the camera flash. What did you make of this?
Didn't the Samsung Galaxy S9 and S8 even? No, maybe not S8, but the S9. Didn't that do this? Is this really new?
Yeah, I had a fella in work who had a triple bypass, and he had a Samsung Galaxy Fold, and he kept putting it up to his ear to, I don't know, measure his pulse or something like that. And I thought he was just being rude and taking a phone call, but he was testing something, and he had to do it every once in a while.
Oh, right. Well, not on the Fold you wouldn't. There's no sensors on the outside of the Fold, I don't think. Anyway, I mean, they might be using the flash to do something like the previous Pixel did. You could take your you could put your finger on the flash, and it will give you your heartbeat rate. But anyway, thermometer, maybe it is something new. And yeah, this woman is demonstrating how you sweep it around in a semicircle around your forehead with a specific 4-second sweep. It'd be interesting to see if actually no one can actually do this when it arrives. The first complaint will be, it doesn't bloody work. And then 3 months later, Google release a patch, say, oh yeah, we acknowledge it doesn't work properly. Here's a patch, and it should work properly now. Thank you for buying our lovely, expensive phone.
But I do wonder, in the past, has there been a genuinely large amount of people who have thought to themselves, I need a thermometer in my phone? Or is this just Google going, what else can we pack in here?
I think it's come on the back of... This has probably been in development since COVID, hasn't it? When COVID was all happening and people were trying to measure their temperature all the time. And they said, right, we'll get onto this. 4 years later, they actually get it out. So it's a bit late now, Google.
And they're putting it in the phone. They're not putting it in the watch, which also already has biometrics to be able to measure you as you run.
Not temperature, though, because your temperature, you'd have to take it off for a while before you could measure your temperature, wouldn't you? But
if you took your watch off and then rubbed it across your forehead, not only would you look like a nincompoop, but you would... Well, this person looks like a nincompoop doing this as well. I'd look at them strangely if they were to be sitting on a train, acting all...
You could always do it in
like
private.
This. You could, yes, go into the toilets.
Yes. And I think it's it's just a gimmick. Anyway, Google have not confirmed this. This could be a complete CBT, not CBT, what's it called?
GPT.
GPT creation of an image that someone's just cooked up in China and pushed out, and Google is saying, nothing to do with us.
All right, okay. Well, who's the lady? We'll have to check her out.
I read something about who she was. This video was made...
Kuba Kowalski. She's got a complicated name.
Right. It would appear that the video has been sourced by 91 Mobile's website, and it's been tested with Google employees, but blah, blah, blah. Who knows? We'll see if it arrives. When's the 8 coming out? In August, isn't it? Or is it July?
Yeah, toward the end of the year at least.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, moving on to more exciting hardware, I suppose, than a thermometer. The Samsung Galaxy S23 FE is rumoured to be arriving before the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5 and the Fold 5. The FE is the fan edition, I think they defined it as, which is generally sort of like a greatest hits album of all the S23s that were released last year. My wife has the S22 FE or S21 FE and absolutely adores it. It's a good bit cheaper than what it would have been to buy an S22 or S21, but with a rather exciting colour palette, and it's plastic as opposed to glass or whatever, and it just has everything that you'd want from the previous range. I think they're a very sensible idea, and I'd be quite interested to see what the S23 FE is going to have in it. And to take us through that is Mr. Ted Salmon.
Well, no, because no one knows. It's only this is vaporware so far. So all we've got to go on really is previous FE models. So the one that we've got here is the Samsung's PR S20 FE. And that was, yes, cheaper than the S20, but it was bigger than the S20. So they tend to pitch these FE models as being somewhere between the kind of basic S23, in this case, and the S23 Ultra, somewhere around the plus size. But yeah, a little bit dumbed down specifications, but not hugely dumbed down. Still, as you say, with your wife, it's still loads and loads of good stuff. The S20 FE that we've got here has even got an SD card slot. You're not going to get that anymore, but it's got the full DeckHD suite, for example, and HDMI out, and a really good bright, colourful OLED panel. It's very, very good. The fear is that this year, because all the prices have gone up on everything, it's no longer going to be well priced. It's going to be, 700 quid or something, and up there with, or very nearly towards flagship pricing. But yeah, we don't know anything else. There's a July unveiling that's going to reveal all of this, and so we'll see what actually comes out. There's rumoured specifications of an Exynos 2200 chipset and a 50 megapixel main camera, 4,500 milliamp hour battery, 6 or 8 gigs of RAM, up to 256 gigs of storage. But as I say, no one really knows for sure what it's going to be about.
Well, doing a little dive into to work out whether or not my wife had the S22 or the S21, she has the S21, and it was originally released at $699, but I think I got it fairly soon after it was released at $499.
Yeah.
Because it tumbled in price and it was a hot UK deal, and I thought, well, it's in that nice lavender colour that she's gone on about, and I grabbed it for her. So I'd like to think that the new one would do something like that. It'll probably have a fairly high... That's right, whenever I unboxed it, someone took me to town for describing it as a mid-ranged phone, and they went, no, this is a flagship, it's a £700 phone. It's like, no, their flagship costs $1,700. And I got into a bit of a quarrel with the fella. But yeah, it is. It's a high budget, low mid-range phone.
I say, my good man, you're wrong.
Yes, he challenged me to a duel at dawn or dusk or something like that, 9 o'clock on the pier.
Yeah, actually, I don't think they made an S22 FE. I think they decided...
No, they did.
Did they? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
they did.
There was one year I thought they missed out on the FE. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, has she got one? Has it got a plastic back or is it a glass back? Do you know?
It's a plastic back.
Yeah.
No, it was the S21 was delayed by something like 6 months.
Ah, right.
They brought it out quite a bit after. I think the S22 was released around the same time as the S21 FE.
Oh, okay.
And that might have been the reason for the significant price drop. But I'm just having a quick look at the S22 FE. What to see in it? I don't actually see that it was released, come to think of it. Maybe it wasn't.
S22 FE?
Yeah.
That's what I said, and you said, no, it was.
That's because I was having a quick look for the S21, and I saw a large amount of S22 FE pages.
I thought they missed the year out. No, I'm looking on GSM Arena, and nothing's come up for 22 FE. So I think I was right in the first place. Get back in your pram.
No, I'm still going with this. Maybe it just wasn't released here because there's images on it over in Sammy Fans.
Ah. Are they renders?
They might be. They might be.
Concept.
And as riveting as this is for the listeners to listen to, we're going to get a definitive answer. Well, you said it's not on GSM Arena.
I didn't find it when I just searched on it.
S22 FE.
Anyway, the story here also is that it's going to arrive before the Z Flip 5 and the Fold 5, even though the Z Flip 5 and Fold 5 are reportedly going to be announced in this event in July. But maybe what they're saying is that the S23 FE is going to be upped and brought forward faster than your wife's one did, and not 6 months after the main one, if you follow. Mind you, we're already 6 months after the main one, aren't we? The S23 came out last autumn.
Did.
I'm very confused. It's over to you.
Well, I'm going to say that the S22 FE must have not been fully released outside of I don't know, the kingdom of...
I think it was wasn't it something to do with not Brexit? Something to do with with COVID.
Blame Brexit for everything.
Something to do with COVID again and supply chains, and they said that they were just going to miss the whole year out. I can't remember. Let's move on to watches instead, shall we?
Why not? Because I almost bought this yesterday because I got so excited about it. The Ticwatch Pro 5, which there wasn't a Ticwatch Pro 4. I'm just going to go out on the limb here and say that because I have the Ticwatch Pro 3 Ultra.
For sure. Isn't
yeah,
it?
For sure.
I think it's the number 4 that some Asian countries have got a problem with, haven't they? They miss out 4 quite often because it's unlucky or something.
Well, why? Does Police Academy 4 not exist out in Asia then?
There's the Oppo didn't do a 4, did they? They went from the 3 to the 5.
Okay.
I think there's something about 4 with Eastern cultures. Anyway, do carry on.
Well, generally the 4th installment of a film franchise is crap. Like Nightmare on Elm Street 4 wasn't very good.
That's American.
Friday the 13th.4
That's
isn't
American.
very good. Mad Max, no, that was good. Right. Okay, never mind. The Ticwatch Pro 5 is a Wear OS 3 smartwatch, and it's going to be coming with Qualcomm's Snapdragon W5 Gen 1 processor inside of it. Now, I have the Ticwatch Pro 3 Ultra, I think it's called, and it's not great at staying alive for more than 2 days. However, this one promises 80 hours of battery life, which is pretty impressive if you ask me, from someone who has to charge his watch every night. I generally don't actually wear it now because...
That's about 3.5 days, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. It takes 30 minutes to charge to 65%, which I think is rather good. It's got Wear OS. It's got a rotating crown that has haptic feedback as well. I think that sounds kind of interesting too. An iconic dual display which has heart rate zone and backlights. It's got a one-track measurement of multiple health metrics if you're into that. And it's got a compass, GPS, barometer. 100+ professional workout modes for those people who like to work out and go out there and be active. 5 ATM at the minute or automatic telling machine water resistant features. Cornering Gorilla Glass and military STDs certified, so you can get STDs from the military. It's quite nice. 1,000+ watch faces and VO2 Max. It's got loads of stuff in it. The last one was one of the better Wear OS watches and one of the ones that you really should have considered if you weren't going for a Samsung one. And I think this one is the same. It is currently for sale over on Amazon for 329, was it? 329. Which is I think that's quite a good price for a really all singing, all dancing.
So does your third generation do this bit? When the display is off, a second layer takes over to constantly display the time. It kicks into this ultra low power mode that lets you last for weeks, even though it's still showing you the time. Does yours do that?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Because it only lasts about 48 hours at most at a push. If I don't turn it on, use any of the functions in the watch, then it'll last for 2 days. If I do use it, I'll have to charge it every day.
If you look at that, the infographic, that top right hand corner picture, I think that's the bit that they're showing the display that kicks in when it goes in. Yeah, so, but you can still see the time. Yeah, that's really good. That's like a Pebble watch almost, isn't it?
It is, but there's one big change as well. I didn't see it in that infographic, but down in the specs you can see the Pro 3 Ultra has 1 GB of RAM and 8 GB of ROM. This has 2 GB of RAM and 32 GB of ROM. So it's a considerable jump. It is losing, obviously, the 2 buttons that are on the sides of the Ticwatch, but a rotating crown, I think, has more functionality. in the grand scheme of things. I still am really tempted by this. I would like to upgrade because I like my Ticwatch. I just forget to charge it a lot.
Does it charge wirelessly, or have you got to plug it in?
No, it's got this sort of little battery clicky thing that if you just hover your watch over it, it pulls it up and puts it on charge. I've never had a problem with it charging. It is charged every time. It's not a pain in the ass to put on charging. My wife has the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4, and it sits on a wireless charging pad, the Samsung's own wireless charging pad, and she frequently goes to it in the morning and it's not charged because she missed it ever so slightly. This just clicks and away it goes. And I've never noticed it being 30 minutes to get to 65% on the 3, but obviously they're pushing that as a big thing for the 4, 5.
Does it jump in magnetically then?
Does, yeah.
Right, okay.
It's great. I like this watch. I do. And I'm very tempted. Oh, I'm just actually noticing there is a button on the side of it above the crown, so it has loads of interactive features.
Well, you'll have to make a choice between a new watch and a new widescreen monitor. Oh, it's too late.
Yes, I bought myself a widescreen monitor that I'll talk about it in 2 weeks whenever I've got it, and I've moved away from this piddly little screen that I'm using at the moment.
Piddly little screen.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Moving on to Amazon's latest Fire tablet. This is the one that they're saying takes on the iPad. All $230 of it. It's a 2-in-1. It's got a keyboard and a stand, and it's Amazon.
And it's got a
Ted?
pen as well.
Ooh.
Or a stylus, but they're extra. The base price of $230, which is presumably about 200 quid, is it? Is a just the tablet. The keyboard is more, and the stylus is more. And of course, as you intimated by your tone of voice just then, you're just locked into Amazon stuff all the time. It's not open. It's a fork of Android, and it might suit some people that can live in the Android world, in the Amazon world, and that's absolutely fine. With their App Store, they've got most of what most people might want. The emphasis here, though, is on it being the first Fire tablet that is a productivity tool, so they say, and not a entertainment device. Up to now, the Fire tablets have all been centred around, Prime Video and audio and recipes in the kitchen and all that sort of thing. But they're trying to move into the kind of the 2-in-1 territory to give people a Surface Pro type option, but all baked into Amazon. It's not for me, but as I say, if you live in the Amazon world and it will do all the stuff you want, or if you can sideload stuff onto it to plug the gaps with the missing Google services, then okay.
But then plugging the gaps, they're pretty horrendous gaps whenever you think about being, a productivity tool. On the one hand, it's only got 4 gigabytes of RAM, so it's probably going to be quite slow. You have to somehow shoehorn on, I don't know if they're in the Amazon App Store, but Microsoft Word, and probably pay for the subscription that way to get it, because you're not going to have Google Docs readily available.
I think the Microsoft's apps are all available, yeah.
Yeah, but then to get the most out of that, you have to pay the...
No, you don't. The basic Office suite, which is now called Microsoft 365, isn't it? That's a free download. You can you can use it basically for nothing.
Basically,
yeah,
very basically. But to be a productivity tool, you have to pay.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
It doesn't have one of those nice interfaces that the likes of Samsung and Lenovo do, where you can hook it up to a big screen and get a big screen mode like DeX or whatever. But they're still going to take half the value of a more competent tablet.
It is cheap though.
It is, but I think it's being falsely sold to people. It's fine if you want to watch Netflix and look at a TikTok video on the go and perhaps use a bit of Microsoft Teams if you absolutely have to. But I reckon the rest of it is just going to be garbage.
Okay. We're obviously not we're not the podcast to be doing this with us two, are we? We need someone who's an Amazon fan on the show saying, but actually, no, this and this is great, and this is.
Have you ever met an Amazon fan?
Yeah, I think most people. To be fair, I think most people that have been using these Fire devices have all been using them for. Consuming streaming and video and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if this takes off. But you see, up until now, we've also had no Kindle with a pen, and the Scribe has come along, and they're trying to attract a different crowd over from the Onyx Books crowd, presumably, and all that kind of remarkable crowd. Get people in on that. So Amazon are trying to push boundaries and get a new crowd in, I suppose. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah, because they're severely lacking in fans. I don't know how anyone can actually go out and purchase one of these whenever there are vastly superior ones. I had a look at the Samsung A8 tablet, which is like £130. I would recommend people buy that over this any day.
Yeah, so would I.
And the Lenovo L, the one that I have, I can't remember the name of it either.
Something, isn't it?
IP11.
P11, that's it. Pro.
And there's even a smaller, cheaper version of that that's still superior to this.
Yeah.
You get a fully fledged productivity machine as opposed to this, which is just
it depends. I think it depends if you want Google services. I think that's what it boils down to. It's a cheap option for those that could live without Google services. Unless, as I say, you can sideload them. I haven't read anything about sideloading onto this, but presumably if it's like the other Fire tablets, you will be able to, and get the Play Store on it.
Okie dokie. Right, well, we'll just leave it at that then. It's crap. Samsung's new sensor OLED display can read fingerprints anywhere on the screen. What does this mean? How is this going to encourage people to actually be better?
The biggest complaint that we had about, I mean, the implication is obvious that you pick it up and wherever you touch it, it's going to get past the security and get you in. But the first thing that someone mentioned in the MeWe group, obviously, is that how are you going to, you take it out of your pocket? How are you going to stop it from being unlocking at any given touch on the edge of the display if you've got not a flat display? So clever as it might be, maybe it's just too much. I thought they were working on the bottom 25% of the screen being a big fingerprint scanner, not the whole bloody lot.
It seems entirely pointless. And I was trying to think, does it allow you to be able to, I don't know, perform different tasks? Like, is there a keyboard that you need to use your fingerprint to unlock various areas of the? I don't know why they would bother.
Well, they're talking about making it good for biometrics as well. So, for example, they're saying that you can take your heart rate and blood pressure by putting two fingers on the screen at the same time or something. Oh, here we go. Look, OLED light is apparently reflected differently depending on your blood vessels' contraction and relaxation. So maybe the main thing is that they're selling it on is that it can do loads of biometrics for you as well, not just get you in.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
No. Oh, you're all right. Keep it. Next up, Meta, another company I love to talk about. Meta is hit with a record-breaking $1.3 billion fine over Facebook data transfers to the US. It's been a while since we've heard of Meta and Facebook and all that being fined for something, so here's a huge one. What did they do this time?
There was another story about this morning, which was it this morning or last night? I'm sure I posted it in MeWe. Let's have a look. On the fly, as we speak, tech addicts. No, perhaps I didn't. Perhaps I dreamt it. Yes, they've been very naughty apparently, and they have. But this is going back to 2013, and it's to do with what Edward Snowden was talking about in terms of US surveillance and all that sort of stuff. So this is not new. It's just like taken over 10 years to be sorted out, and Meta won't give us stuff, will they? $1.3 billion. It sounds a lot of money to us, obviously.
I don't know. They have had problems with money in recent times. I know that they've shut down a few things and stopped buying the most expensive pens that you can buy and just bought rare biros.
Yes. I can't believe that they're financially in trouble. But they did have this hoo-ha going on with the EU, and they were kind of threatening. There was a bit of a standoff situation, wasn't there? Because Facebook were saying that if you make us do that, then we'll just pull out of Europe. We don't need Europe. And then all the users were kind of up in arms and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. You never know what's really behind these stories, do you? But that's it. But that, it's a huge amount of money. Well, it seems like it to us, but as I say, I'm not sure that it really is to Meta. And
on the other side of that huge amount of money isn't like it goes out to the people who were affected by it. They don't get payouts. It just goes into the back of Ursula von der Leyen's bank account, doesn't it? And she gets her a new car and a new hairdo. No, she has the same hairdo. She has spiffing hair, I have to say. Great hair.
Yes. Anyway, they've been naughty. They've been caught out. 10 years later, they've been made to pay.
Great.
I think that's the bottom line of it. All thanks to...
Nick Clegg's mentioned in there as well. It's his fault. Let's just blame him.
Right. Was there ever a story that you and I floundered so much over and knew nothing much about, really?
I think that happens every week, doesn't it? There's usually about 10. Right, yes. Next up, Raspberry Pi alternative mini PCs have been unveiled by Odoo.
Odoo. There's another one I know nothing about. Hopefully you do. You do. Hopefully you do.
Yes, this is a new mini PC that has been touted by Odoo. And there's two of them, I believe. There's the Vision X5, which is a mini PC powered by an Intel Atom X5 quad-core processor running 1.8 gigahertz. And there's stuff, HD graphics and stuff built in, 4 gigabytes of RAM, DDR4 RAM, and 32 gigabytes of storage. There's also the Vision X7 mini PC powered by the Atom X7. Which is a quad-core processor running at 2 gigahertz with DDR4 RAM, and it doesn't actually mention the HD graphics on that one again, but I imagine it probably has that too, and 64 gigabytes of storage. Odoo, I don't know why they're doing this. I'm getting a bit worried about the whole future of Raspberry Pi type things. Initially, Raspberry Pi, which is a very small mini PC, about the same size as a pack of cigarettes, one printed circuit board that has a bunch of stuff that allows you to do basic computing, was released at about, £25. And you could install Linux on it and have it do things. I have one, and I know a number of people in the community have them as well. I think I heard, was it Ian Barton talking about it on Whatever Works last week. A Pi hole, which helps you, get rid of advertising coming down the internet pipes into your home. And it's one of the best investments I've ever made. And at that, I think it cost me about 30 quid, all up and running with a nice wee case and a USB cable and an SD card to get that up and running. That was when Raspberry Pi was an ingenious little device. Odoo are making these little mini PCs. One of them costs $350, the other one costs $419. Which are mini PCs that do something similar to that, but they're grossly overpowered unless you have something that you particularly want to do with them.
It says here that the new hardware has been specifically designed for edge AI, machine learning and computer vision projects. So maybe this is more than a Raspberry because it's taking on the new kind of whole AI world. Would that make a difference, or does the Raspberry Pi would it be doing that as well?
Well, no, the Raspberry Pi itself, if you go out and try and buy one today, I think you'd be hard-pressed to get one for about £100. It's ridiculous how the prices have increased because the hardware that they're packing into it is massively more expensive than it was whenever they first brought this to fruition, because it's fruit, Raspberry Pi. Never mind.
Very good, yes.
I'd love to be able to buy more Raspberry Pis and do them for all sorts of things. Right, going on to Amazon right now, the new Raspberry Pi Model 4 or 4 Model B is £125.
Is that the one with the keyboard?
No, that's just the circuit board. That's the Raspberry Pi 400 you're thinking of, which is £150. The Raspberry Pi 3 that I have currently running Pi-hole that I spent about 30 quid on is £45 to buy that today. Mm-hmm. Which I think it's grossly overinflated, and they're losing sight of what actually these were put out for. I no qualms with Udo if they're looking to do these for a particular thing, then that's fine if that's what this has been designed for. But describing it as Raspberry Pi alternative, that the likes of you or I can go and grab, stick Linux on and have it run a particular thing like playing retro games, which is one of the things that they use Raspberry Pis for an awful lot. And that one that you highlighted with the keyboard, the 400, is a particularly good one to be able to install with the Lemon or Amiga retro thing, and you can have a fully fledged Amiga sitting there in this one little computer and plug it away and you go. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to be able to see them actually focusing on what Raspberry Pi initially set out to do, which was a really cheap computer that youngsters could even pick up with their pocket money and be able to develop stuff for and build stuff out of. And there's so many people online who have made big advancements because of the Raspberry Pi, and Pi-hole is a perfect example of where they've taken it and turned it into something that every household should really have, but they don't.
No, I've never played with one. Incidentally, the only people that are saying that this is a Raspberry Pi alternative is the Geeky Gadgets website. It might be that other people reporting on this are not even mentioning it being a Raspberry Pi alternative. Certainly Udo, I don't think, are. Perhaps that's a misleading headline, and this is completely something different, and it's not a Raspberry Pi alternative. They're just talking crap.
Well, then disregard everything I've said. But Amazon's prices on the Raspberry Pi are ridiculous.
Well, that can be the takeaway of this article, then.
Yes, we need more small, little, fun computers that people can get the most out of, because the original Raspberry Pi was a performance hound for such a tiny amount of money.
Excellent.
Right. In the name of the game, more fun stuff to be talking about as opposed to that boring old hardware stuff back there. Right, okay, so the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is going to be getting a slightly different model coming soon called the DeckHD, which has a 1200p screen. If you read any reviews of the Steam Deck, you'll notice that the one thing that they say is a problem is the screen, because it's a fairly low res. However, the DeckHD is going to have 1920 by 1200, which will probably annoy quite a few people who have the older one. But, you can't step in the way of progress. Everything else, I believe, remains the same. 400 nits. What's that?
That's really going to nap everyone off, isn't it? If you just bought one of these, and then suddenly... It's a bit like the OLED Nintendo Switch, Suddenly there's a much better one, but never mind, you just bought the old one.
Well, it's a year, or it's more than a year since the Steam Deck came out. They've got to be expecting something to come along, and then whenever you buy one of these...
Oh, no, hang on a minute. Isn't this something that you add yourself, or that you put it onto your old one?
I had a thought. I had the feeling that it was something that you could buy and do yourself.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But because it was called the DeckHD, I imagined that it was actually going to be something that they were going to be putting out. I had a quick read at, not the one that you have in the show notes, but another one as well, about what it was, and it was a direct response to the ROG Ally arriving. But I'm just...
It says $99. You can join the wait list, and they say the estimated price will be about $99. They're estimating June or July launch. That's got to be just the screen, hasn't it? How are you going to fit it yourself, though?
Well, the iFixit.
Yes.
Well, but see, now that has alarm bells ringing, because Steam Deck is all about managing power. I think that seems to be the main battle, to be able to get the most out of your device, running the specifications or running a game within the boundaries of the specification, to be able to get a favourable level between battery life and good graphics and performance. So if you were to up your resolution to 1920 by 1200, that's going to have a noticeable knock-on effect to your battery life.
Oh, yeah. That's true. But what's the $99 about, then?
Well, you must be able to buy the screen, then, for $99.
Yeah, and just take your chances with the battery.
Well, that's a bit of a letdown. I was hoping I'd actually gone over to Steam's website to see if they'd started taking pre-orders for the Steam Deck HD. Damn.
Yeah, that's a bit of a confusing story, really, isn't it? Because it does look as though, apart from that pricing, it looks like it's an upgraded model, but it can't be. Another well-researched item on Tech Addicts.
Well, we got there in the end, didn't we?
I'm not sure.
Hopefully we did. If not, complain. To what's our email address? Phone show chat. Yeah, complain to phone show chat. Okay, Ambernick RG Nano, which is a micro gaming handheld that has been leaked. This is a Game Boy style mini retro gaming handheld.
Grief, that's tiny.
It is. It's really idle, I think is the word. Idle. It's got an ARM Cortex A7 processor inside it with 64 megabytes of DDR2 RAM, a 450 milliamp hour battery, and a nice clamshell form factor. Clamshell form factor? Why have they said a clamshell form factor?
No, it's not, is it?
No, it's not.
That would make it even smaller. That's tiny. They've got it on a key ring, for goodness sake. How are your fingers, apart from a 2-year-old child, going to press the buttons on that?
There's a lovely little picture of it up next to a pack of cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
The pack of cigarettes look huge in comparison.
Yeah. Blimey. Have you ever played with a device of that size with your... I don't know, have you got big hands or small hands or what?
Fairly big hands. I did have a play with that. What was the Game Boy, the micro Game Boy that they put out years ago?
Right.
It was the size that it was because they could with the cartridge. But yeah, it was the Nano Game Boy. I can't remember what it was called.
I don't think
it was too small.
I think my thumb would be crunching the A, B, X, Y buttons. I can't see that I'd better press them properly.
I can't imagine that you'd be using this too often, but where you find yourself stuck somewhere and desperately needing to play Mario, then, yeah, this could work.
$170, though. It's not cheap, is it? Blimey.
No.
Oh, no. Hang on. It's $70.
Yeah.
That was the RG405M that was $170. Okay. So this one's $70. Not too bad. Still a lot.
It is a good looking little thing. I think they're kind of fun things to be able to put in a stocking, but they're still quite pricey to be a stocking filler.
Yeah.
And they're not going to fill too much of the stocking because they're so wee.
I'll take the packet of fags. Ooh, it's very nostalgic. Whenever I see fags, I think, oh yeah, those were the days, enjoying smoking. No one was judging you. No, let's not go there.
No. You have Benson Hedges stainage on your fingers. Clothes stinking.
Yeah, but it was so nice. Anyway, moving on.
Was it really?
The only people that don't think smoking used to be nice are people that didn't used to smoke. Did you used to smoke?
I did, yes.
And people used to say, "Oh, it's a disgusting, filthy habit. How could you possibly do that?" And they just didn't understand because they didn't do it and they didn't realise how nice it was. How did we get onto this topic? It's your fault.
I don't know. But I will tell you, and it might be a word of encouragement since you're obviously having some sort of withdrawal symptom right now. I did give up cigarettes a long time ago, and then I was required to smoke for a small role in a film that I was doing. And I was given a Regal King size, which was not my brand of choice.
Yeah.
And I smoked it and thought, oh, this is going to be me back on them. Oh, no. But as I had one drag from it, it was the most revolting thing I've ever had in my life.
Okay.
Oh, it was horrendous. So I know I'm totally over them.
Yeah.
And
perhaps perhaps the same would happen to me if I had one now. Perhaps I would just kind of think, good grief, no.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I'm not going to try after 10 plus years.
No, we could just start vaping instead. Right. Next up is the Logitech G Cloud gaming handheld, which we've covered in the past, and you've linked to no, it's not a review. Well, it is kind of a review. An article over on the aforementioned Geeky Gadgets, who have noticed that it is now for sale on Amazon for a whopping £329. Same price as Ticwatch's new Ticwatch Pro 5.
What a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd have the watch any day of the week. But this is the Logitech's game streaming device. It doesn't actually have a full sort of processor built in to be able to play its own games. It relies heavily on pulling content from the cloud, whether it be through Xbox gaming services, Steam, NVIDIA GeForce, not Stadia. I suppose Luna would be on there.
So you have to be connected at all times?
You do, a bit like your mobile phone.
Right.
But it also has, it runs Android, so it has the ability to have YouTube and Chrome and stuff on it as well.
Okay.
And there's a button I think you use to flip between the home screen and Android's home screen. So it's basically an app on a piece of hardware that runs Android.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll sell well. Is that? Do you think that's a good price? $329?
I think it's a wee bit high for people to experiment with.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I would want to pick it up for that. If it was maybe $229, I'd go for it.
Right.
But it does have some fairly interesting specs in that it's got a 7-inch full HD 1080p touchscreen, which is 60 hertz, and a 6.9 or 6:9 aspect ratio. So it works in that respect. But I think it's one of those things that if someone really picks it up, they might be better doubling the money and getting a Steam Deck instead.
Hang on a minute. If you download, for example, Asphalt 9 to your Android device and then go into airplane mode, you'd still be able to play it, wouldn't you? So maybe you can download stuff on the device. Well, assuming it's got some storage. Has it got some storage?
It probably does have a small amount, or it probably has a micro SD. I'm not sure, but the idea is for the likes of Xbox Game Cloud gaming, you absolutely need the Wi-Fi to be able to play.
But some Android games you don't have to, do you?
No, I think you'll be able to download those. Okay,
right? You can play Wordle and today's special crossword app.
and Flappy Bird in if you turn it on its side. But no, it's more targeted front and center. It says Xbox Cloud Gaming, and I think it comes with promotional stuff for NVIDIA Cloud or NVIDIA GeForce. I think you get 4 months free, if I saw that correctly somewhere here.
Anyway, the news is that this has arrived in the UK and in Europe.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If any one of our listeners has a go at that, then let us know how you get on and if it's crap or not. Gareth Williams, I challenge you. He's our he's our gaming man, and he's got deep pockets. So have a go with Gareth.
And don't blame us if it is crap, okay? Ted will maybe give you a partial refund, or we'll offer to buy it off you for 20 quid whenever you're getting rid of it. Right.
Yes.
Back in the Stadia debacles. Right. I suppose actually we'll move one story around because it's relatively similar to that. Oops.
Sorry.
What's going on? Oh, no.
Oh, my. It's all right. I can work it out, really.
There we go. I'm moving one story, one line up, and making a complete hash of it in the show notes because I can't see my keyboard for my microphone. Right. On the back of the Logitech G Cloud gaming handheld device, Sony have also announced that they're going to be doing Project Q, which is a remote play gaming device for the PlayStation 5. Now, details are somewhat sparse at the moment. This is a large 8-inch as opposed to 7-inch on the Logitech LCD screen with 1080p resolution, 60 hertz refresh rate. So it's got some specs on it there. But it has one thing that I know the Logitech was put down for. It has a better control system in that it's got the tried and tested, the one that everybody loves, even I love it, the DualSense controllers either side of the screen. And I think that's one of their big selling points, is that they've mirrored this around the DualSense controller system, which is excellent, absolutely excellent. I think this could really be a quality product if it does a bit more than just streams games from your PlayStation 5, because that is the function of this, is that you don't download your PlayStation 5 games to this, you remotely stream them over Wi-Fi. So if you're playing a game and you want to go to bed, you can take this with you in the way that you could do with the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 3 back in the day. I think PlayStation 4 as well could do that too. Maybe even the PlayStation 5. Not sure. Can't remember. Been a while. Ted, what did you make of this?
So it's basically a screen, like taking the Nintendo Switch screen out and putting it in your in the two side controller thingies, and yes, you've got to be in the house to use it. So you can't use it on the bus. And my question probably would be, well, wouldn't it be better to put your phone in the middle of that instead of putting this screen? Because your phone is going to be much more intelligent and more connected. Yes. And this looks more like what Razer have been trying to do with their little screen. Perhaps that's what it's all about.
But Sony have been very savvy about this in the fact that they've put the DualSense controllers either side of this.
Yeah.
And that's what you can't get from those devices that you clamp around your phone or tablet to be able to play on the go.
Okay.
They're also doing a little pair of earbuds as well, which are PlayStation branded too, that they say are exceptional. But I don't know much about those yet. They're lossless audio and low latency Bluetooth headphones.
There's no pricing anywhere here, is there? And it's also an LCD, as you said earlier, and I missed you saying that. It's an LCD and not an OLED, so it's not going to be particularly great to look at, is it?
No, but I don't know. I wonder if they did that with the PlayStation Vita. They had a 3G version of it that arrived. So I wonder if you'll be able to pair this with your phone, or if there might be a 5G version of this on the go. But you wouldn't want to be... Well, I think some people do play the Xbox Game Pass whenever they're on the go.
Right. It must have some storage then. Or connect by cellular, as you say.
I think it's going to be connect by cellular. Okay. I think there'll be a minimal storage. And that's where they killed the Vita, by the storage options, because they had that horrible memory card. Instead of the SD card, they had the PlayStation nonsense that was overpriced and underperformed and would die quite quickly. If you bought one 6 months later, it would definitely be dead, whereas an SD card would last a lot longer.
I like the look of the case for the earbuds. I don't like the look of the earbuds because they're in-canal ones, but it's very stylish the way they've done that. It's the case for those. That's nice.
Yeah. It all leads back nicely into the PlayStation 5's styling, which I wonder if they're going to do away with that and do a PlayStation 5 Mini next year that's not going to match these. Yeah, but, if you're a devout PlayStation 5 fan, then this might be what you've been waiting for. And it could provide... I'm not sure if you can... I think you can. You can play your PlayStation 5 remotely from your laptop as well. They have put something out recently that allows you to do that. I remember testing it and then stopping using it after a while.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, next up is Google Play Games for PC is going to be leveled up here in Europe. But at some point, Ted, I didn't read this one because I'm not excited about this.
Google Play Games is something that's been around for so long. If you click on the links at the moment, it takes you to the Play Store where you download Google Play Games for your Android device. There's a waiting list, but in the UK, we can't even get on the waiting list to actually start using this. There's very limited information about how it's going to work, how Windows is going to download it, if it's through the Play Store or whether it's through the Amazon Store, which seems to be the way that Microsoft want to go with accessing Google services on Windows. It's all a bit kind of unknown, isn't it? Apparently the beta is working out in the Far East, in America and Canada, Mexico, Brazil, as well as New Zealand and other places like that. We can't get them. I've tried to click through to try and just get in, just look at it, or to get on a waiting list, as I say, or nothing. I can't get anywhere with it. Have you been able to?
No, I didn't try. I think I read one passage from this where it says Google Play Games will allow your PC to support cookie run. And I thought, wow, I think that's what people have been waiting for.
Yes.
But they'll get rid of their Steam client with The Last of Us and Elden Ring and Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, Microsoft Flight Simulator. Get rid of that crap because Cookie Run is going to be working on the on the PC fairly soon.
A 1945 Air Force.
Well, that's okay.
Google Play Games is very basic. When I put it on my phone, I have a look at it and think, good grief, there's not much here, is there? And they're obviously trying to make that change. And as usual with Google, it'll probably fall apart and they'll sunset it sometime in the future and everyone will be onto the proper tools.
Hold on a second.
Hold on, I stand by.
Things are happening.
Aye.
Oh. I decided to investigate after you saying about 1945 Air Force.
Yeah.
I Googled it, and it took me to Google Play, and it says install on Windows. So I clicked the button. It's downloading something. It's downloaded, and it's completed downloading.
Ooh, how did you get to that?
And it's... See if you just search for 1945 Air Force.
1945 Air Force. Search.
Top link should be Google.
Google but that's for the phone, not for Windows.
I clicked on that just to have a look at it, and there's a button that says install on Windows.
Bloody well is.
To run Google Play Games, you'll need to turn on hardware visualization.
I'm not going to do this because I'm on cellular connection, but I'll do it later. Well, when I tried to look at this the other day, it wouldn't let me in anywhere near this. So yes, hurrah!
Okay, well we're getting there. We could be playing Cookie Run before the end of the day. Wow.
Oh dear.
Right, okay, well, moving on. That was very exciting, wasn't it?
Yes.
Flap your trap about it now.
Have you moved those round? Wasn't Flap Your Trap about an app? And before the name of the game before?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. All right, carry on.
Okay. YouTube on TVs is going to be getting unskippable 30-second ads and pause screen ads. Right. That's a death nail in YouTube for for people who aren't subscribing.
I use YouTube on my TV most evenings, and that's really a boring prospect. But I was trying to work out whether it was for premium users or not, whether we get away with it. Because if we do, then okay, fair enough. I think if people are getting this stuff for free, they should get adverts, frankly. But not if it's for us.
No. If it is premium, then Google can go and shove their premium subscription up their arse. I'm not putting up with any adverts. I'll just about put up with whatever his face is advertising such and such a VPN for 2 seconds if it's not too intrusive, which is becoming more and more intrusive. But having this on the premium tier, no way. I'm paying.
There was nothing in this article about premium. It just said
it's got to be the free.
It reads like everyone's getting it, but I don't know. We'll wait and see. I suppose see what happens.
No.
Absolutely
no.
I'll write to my MP.
I'll go round and I'll give them a good hiding.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Samsung are going to be using Google instead of Bing. I wonder how much money they had to pay for that. But there was a possibility they were going to switch to Bing, which I didn't know about or care about. But they are not doing that now, and they're staying, in fact, with Google. Ted, take us through this interesting...
Well, the Wall Street Journal has reported that Samsung has suspended a review into the possible change. And somebody in our group reckoned that it was probably a negotiation tactic. So Samsung were saying to Google, you give us a better deal, or we'll go to Bing and go to Microsoft. So Google have played ball, which no one knows about, of course, and they've probably capitulated in order to keep Samsung sweet. But who knows? The net effect of this is that it would be the default app for browsing on the phone. But as we know these days, when you set up a Samsung phone, you get to choose all those things anyway. So, they're not going to make it default in that sense, because it gives you the choice. They've got to ask you, what do you want your default search engine to be? Well, the fact that Bing might be up the top doesn't mean to say you can't undo it. Some people might just press on done anyway, I suppose, and then that'll be done. But most people with half a brain would say, oh, which browser do I want? I know, I don't want Bing, I want Chrome, I'll have Chrome. And they'll do it that way. I'm waffling now.
Yet, down in the bottom left-hand corner of Windows 11, there's a search bar there that is Bing only. And I am not aware of any way that I can change that to Google.
No.
If I tap on it, it opens Edge with Bing.
Yeah, that's right.
So is that not exactly what Google was taken to court for in the previous number of years?
What, by not giving people the choice in Windows?
Yeah.
I think inside Windows it's... I don't know. I can't remember that story. I thought...
But on the taskbar, I have no choice at all of what search bar I use.
No, you haven't. That I know of. But maybe you have. Perhaps we're ill-informed as usual.
No, I'm clicking all around it. Right click it, left click it. Oh, hang on. No. Hang on. I'll do this. There's 3 dots there. Search settings.
Oh! That's my phone ringing. I fear that there's going to have to be an edit point in here. Hang on. Hello?
Sorry, folks, I had an edit point there because Ted's doctor rang. His hormone replacement tablets have been delayed by another week. I was unable, whilst Ted was taking that personal phone call, to discover how to change my search engine over to anything but Bing. So I reckon we could take Microsoft to court.
Right, go for it. We'll do a class action, as they say in America. We'll all get together and do it.
Is it not classy action?
Classy. It could end up...
Or we all turn up in Mercedes. And things like that. Wear leather jackets.
Yes.
Smoke cigarettes with extenders on them. Yes. Right, okay, moving back to some tech stuff, finally. Android's reading mode now lets you convert any article into a mini podcast. Bugger, people can do that instead of listening to us, and they'll actually get information that's correct.
Have you tried this?
No.
I've tried it and downloaded it, but unfortunately you need version 1.1 to get the full benefit of it. So at the moment, if you download it from the Play Store, it's called Reading Mode by Google LLC as usual. And it gives you a button on your screen, and then whatever website you're in or whatever you're looking at on your phone, anywhere, whatever, incidentally, it doesn't work with some services. For example, it doesn't work inside Gmail yet. But pretty much anything, the idea is that anything it will just read out to you loud. The fundamental flaw at the moment in version 1.0 though is that it's got to be on the screen the whole time. You can't put it in the background. With version 1.1, it's going to hook into the notification panel audio monitoring thingy controller, and you'll be able to put it in the background, do something else on your phone, and still listen to the news or whatever it is you've got reading out to you in the background. So that's it. It's pretty simple. It's very much like accessibility in a sense, and I'm sure that they've used the same engine to do it with. And there's a Windows version on it, which is called Narrator for Windows, which I didn't know about, to be honest. And I think Apple have got one of these as well. But this is, it's available for any Android phone. But I would suggest you wait for version 1.1 before you curse at it, because you can't. Every time you move it off the screen or do something else, it stops. So that's a bit rubbish, really. But 1.1 is coming. Okay.
I went against your advice and I've installed it anyway.
Yeah. Well, have a play with it. It's quite interesting to see what they're doing, and you can choose between about 10 different voices to read to you. There's various settings there you can change, but as I say, you can't background it yet.
Oh, right, okay. Right, well, we'll move into the Google Gallows and the Chrome Coroner.
Right, okay, ready for this?
Ready.
The Chromebook Virtual Keyboard is undergoing a redesign, and actually it does look pretty. It looks like they've done some quite good stuff with it in terms of making space between the keys better, taking away keys that are really not needed and burying them under shift functions and function buttons and all the rest of it. And it is much more appealing. Now, I don't often use a virtual keyboard on a tablet, but those that do, I think that that'll be a much more appealing way of doing it. It's also made the letters, because the buttons are bigger, they've made more space. It makes clearly the letters bigger and better and easier to use. So there's that. It's not here yet, though, as usual. It's coming. Google is preparing Recorder for larger screens. You've got a Pixel. Have you played with Recorder and transcriptions in Recorder yet?
I have, yeah, with very limited success.
Okay. When I used Recorder on my phone, it tended to be quite well done, I thought. The transcription tended to work quite well, and if you change change it from UK English to American English, you can actually get the people. It recognises when a voice changes, and that's much more useful as well. Anyway, the news here is that they're making this large screen ready, as is becoming the trend with Google. They're making their own apps available for tablet use ahead of the tablet arriving. And it does look as though it's been quite well laid out, with buttons shifted around and 2 panels to work with instead of 1. So that's quite good.
This is one that I felt was an indicator that perhaps Google's tablet's going to have a decent microphone in it, because generally tablets have worse microphones than phones. Because phones are phones and need microphones. So I'm wondering if we're going to see a very decent microphone inside of that tablet.
Good thought. We shall look into that one when it arrives, if anyone can afford it. I did read a story this week that said that Google were in the process of making a cheaper Pixel tablet because the one that they're going to put out next month is really quite expensive, and there's a cheaper one on the go, but it could have been just a rumour. We'll come back to that one if it's true, shall we?
Yes.
Shorts may be coming to YouTube Music with Samples tab. This was inevitable, really. So the basic line here is that with YouTube you've got Shorts, with TikTok you've got, well, TikTok, and with YouTube Music they're going to add a tab down the bottom whereby you can get snippets, samples of music in a vertically scrolling a platter, the same as you can with Shorts or with TikTok. So I just think that was inevitable. It was going to come. So they're going to encourage musicians to create stuff in portrait and stick it in there in the samples, the same as they do with Shorts. And lastly, which is the most worrying one, I think, unless they're going to control it properly, is that Google Chrome extensions can now create side panel UI. So Google are releasing this API. We've spoken about the side panel in Chrome before, where stuff you can use on the side, like journeys, and you can put the reader mode in there, and you can get it, basic functionality going in that respect. Well, Google are going to open up the API for that panel, and they're going to say to anyone that's got a Chrome extension, you can use that right-hand panel. In fact, you can make it on the left if you want to. You can use it however you want. Put what you like in there. So it's inevitable what's going to happen, isn't it? It's going to be covered in advertising and more adverts and adverts and adverts. More reason for people not to bother with Chrome extensions, I would guess. Have you got a visitor in the room?
I do, yes.
Jolly good. Oh, should I carry on talking?
Yes, carry on, that's fine.
So that's about it, really. Clever as it may sound, I just fear that might well be a bridge too far with advertising. The side panel is going to be hijacked by anyone that fancies hijacking it and just serve adverts up. That's not the idea of it being made available, but I can just see that's what's going to happen.
Yes. No, I agree. Already we have a problem with extensions in that they could be quite worrying. Yeah. You don't know what you're installing when you're installing them, and then 5 minutes later or 20 days later you discover, oh, right, okay, that's a spammy one or something like that. You hear horror stories. So letting them have access to the whole infrastructure of the side panel UI is going to be not good.
No.
You're
quite right.
Yes, apologies for the door slamming there. It was, people are arriving for lunch, and one of them stuck their head and going, you're recording? Are you recording? Are you recording?
Of course I am. Can't you see I am?
Yeah, I can't say yes, I'm recording to you because I'm recording. Sorry. I'll be down in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. What? I can't hear you because I can't hear you're not speaking out loud. Are you recording? And then they walk away and slam the door.
The things we have to deal with. Living with the riffraff.
I know. It's us professionals. This is our art. And people have no respect for our art.
Yes.
And our art is like feces. Sorry. Right. Okay. Moving on to Hark Back. Because there's people downstairs tapping their watches going, is he coming down at any time? It's 1 o'clock. It's lunchtime. Right. Okay. I thought I'd go for one which isn't a phone that I had, but it's one that I very much lusted after when it was first launched, and when I came to get out of my contract, a better model had appeared, and I went with that instead. But I had a friend who got one of these, and I had a wee play with it a couple of times, and I thought it was a somewhat underpowered step towards something that could have been excellent. And before we go into this, Ted, did you ever have one of these?
I did, and I was blown away because it was the first time I had a keyboarded clamshell device in the Windows mobile line, which swiveled around, and so you could get it looking like a phone and then turn it around and you've got it back into laptop mode, which I'm sure you're going to expand on now. But that was the reason I had it. I was just bowled over by the fact that it swiveled round. Yeah.
Well, yes, those more astute members of our listeners will go, aha, you're talking about the exec, aren't you? And we are indeed. This is the HTC Universal, also known as the, I had a list there, the O2 XDA exec, which is the one I had to play with, the Orange SPV M5000, which is the one I lusted after, the Dopod 900, the QTech 9000, the T-Mobile MDA Pro. I don't think we had that one here, but I might be wrong. The iMate Jazz Jar, the Vodafone V640, 1640.
That's the one I had, I think.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. The Vodafone VPA4, the E Plus PDA4. So it was rebranded a good few times across various networks around the world. This had an Intel 512 megahertz processor inside of it. There was a nice 3.6-inch 65K 16 by 480 or 640 by 480 VGA TFT screen on there, and the TFT was the one killer because it shouldn't have been. I think this was whenever capacitive was upon us, and this still arrived with TFT. Touchscreen, yeah, something like that. It had a crap camera in it, which is a 1.3 megapixel and a VGA front-facing video camera. And oh no, it was a resistive display. It was a resistive display as opposed to capacitive. That's what.
Oh, because it had a stylus, didn't it? That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, this as Ted mentioned, this had the full kind of QWERTY keyboard that you could set down on a table and work at like a little mini tiny laptop. But it also had the additional screen that would rotate 180 degrees, and you could use it on the go with the tablet, much like a candy bar phone that we would ordinarily use today. But you could also close it down flat with the screen inside of it, and it not be active that way. And you could make phone calls. I think you had to turn the screen round so it was facing you to make the phone calls. I can't quite remember.
No, you could do it in laptop mode, but if it was in closed mode, I can't remember. No, I can't remember.
No, I think you had to open it and flip the screen around.
Did you?
I vaguely remember my friend being annoyed by that because every time he took a phone call, it was a bit of a faff to answer. I might be wrong about that. I might have just dreamt it up. But yeah, but this was a real productivity tool, and I really wanted one. I had the HTC Hermes, which was the Titan 1, and then the Titan 2 came out later after this had its day.
Right.
And I moved from the Titan 1 to the Titan 2. So this happened in the middle of that, and it just had so much more to it that I thought it was a really sophisticated device, but it was a bit too big and bulky, and holding one of these up to the side of your head would have made you look like identified you as a weirdo walking around, because I remember getting the original Samsung Galaxy Note and walking around with that, and someone actually saying, look at the size of his phone. I was like, oh blimey, very aware of myself now, oh dear. It ran Windows Mobile 5.0. I believe it got an update to 6, but maybe not after that. Oh, it says here, there were numerous of unofficial builds of Windows Mobile 6 Crossbow for this device. Maybe that's what we did with his then. We put on a cooked ROM with Windows Mobile 6. Because that was the whole ecosystem of these devices, wasn't it? You'd get what you got, and then you'd spend your time going through XDA developers trying to find something that was a cool-looking ROM that had nice images and features and worked with 90% of the technology inside the device.
Yes, indeed, and plugged in the device into your Windows computer in order to get it.
Yes, yeah, and jump through hoops in order to get that to work. There was 128 megabytes of ROM inside of it, and there were two different versions. One had 64 megabytes of RAM, and another with 128 megabytes of RAM. I imagine the second one being vastly superior to the first. It had GPRS built into it. I don't think it went up to 2G or 3G. I think it was just No, it was Tri-Band and CDMA, yeah. Oh no, it would do 3G video calling. Okay, so there must have been a 3G variant of it. Just doesn't mention it here.
I used to use it on Wi-Fi all the time, I think.
Yeah. Wow, 1620 milliamp hour battery. That was removable too, and was charged via mini USB. Yeah,
very nice.
So what did you get this to do? What was the most interesting thing that it could do?
Well, for me, these devices were all about trying to get my... I'd come from the world of Scion, and I was trying to get my PIM data into the thing. Yes, you had a bunch of other applications as you did in Microsoft Windows Mobile, but most of it for me was about storing data, databases, email, Outlook in this case, Outlook 2003. What year was this? 2005. So, Outlook 2003, I think, probably was the later version that I used with it, and that kind of pulled all my data from. You see, 2005 was just the time that I was going over to Gmail, to Google services. And I think this is a hang-on and a crossover between the two. So I probably couldn't afford this at release, but we were also entering the era of Symbian Series 60, and I'd just come from Series 80 as well. It was a really good time to be playing with these systems, and particularly with Cywin and Outlook 2003, and what Google were doing. It was just great, and I loved as I said earlier, I loved the swiveling form factor, and it was a real chunky thing. I remember that, and I'm looking at the picture of it now, and I'm remembering it was just a brick, really. There was so much space in it, and those keys on the keyboard were all domed. Each one of them was individually domed, and I remember that very clearly. So you know when you moved your finger to the next key, you went down the trough and back up again. It was very, very nicely designed keyboard. But yeah, when you switch it round, turn the screen round, clamp it back down, you've then got your D-pad on the bottom and your executables, and you can use it in a kind of D-pad type way and navigate the screen with that. You've also got a stylus in a silo on the side of it, and you can use that for handwriting recognition. It was really, really good fun. It was, the start of many things that were going to come in years to come and get just better and better. Great. These HTC devices, they really were pushing the boundaries at the time, and I loved it.
Yeah. I was always envious of this, and I'm even looking at it now on eBay to see if they're still available. If you can pick up a cheap one, but you can't. They're actually quite expensive to buy off of eBay because they're that kind of period of cool retro devices that would look good in a collection.
Yeah.
About £120. Buy it now. There's some that are parts only for £70.
Oh yeah, camera button as well. Sony is the only one left now. This one had it at the top edge, a camera button. Crappy camera, but it had a shutter release on it.
Yeah, I remember being really disappointed by the camera when I first saw it. Yeah. Well, this person's installed MS-DOS on theirs.
Wow.
Right. Useful.
Lovely device.
DOS box, in fact.
That's really lovely. Those are such great days. Phones today are just so boring compared to what was going on at this time.
They are, but where you pick up a phone today that maybe might cost £150, you can guarantee the camera is still going to be pretty good.
Yes.
Whereas you picked this up and took a picture of it and you're like, I can't show that to anyone, that's awful.
Yeah. Just a shame that no one's prepared to make devices like this anymore. Well, apart from Planet Computers, the Gemini, the Cosmo, I think they're the... and what's the name? What was that bunch called that are doing the other one?
Ulefone or whatever?
No. It's X Pro 1. I can't remember. I'll look it up for later. We had one in for review, but yeah, I wish we had more of these interesting designs kicking about still. But we haven't.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll move into bargain basement before people start coming up here and getting annoyed at me for not being outside. Right. First up is mine. Oh, right. Okay. And this was quite interesting because it said that I last purchased this on the 26th of February. And I don't remember buying one of these, but obviously it's out there somewhere in one of my bits of hardware around the house. The Exoia, it's Toshiba, really, 128 gigabyte Exertia micro SD card, micro SD memory card, U1 class 10, 100 megabytes per second, max read speed. Full video recording is down in price from £16 to £9, which is pretty good. I can't remember what I paid for mine. But, oh no, I click on view orders, and I paid a whopping $10.99 for it.
I've never heard of Kioxia. You reckon that's Toshiba, do you?
Yeah, I remember getting a press release through that they'd sold off their hard disk and memory card wing to Kioxia.
Very nice.
Classy name. But good prices, and I think I haven't thrown the card out, so wherever it is, it's doing a good job.
Yeah. Such a good job that you can ignore it.
Yes.
Right, the Razer Kishi is that handheld thingy that we come back to now and again, that Razer push out, and you can stick your phone in it. Of course, it's not Sony, Sense quality, but it's supposed to be dual sense. That's the phrase. It's supposed to kind of pretty much take any phone that you stick in it. I think as long as it's got the USB-C socket in the middle, although you can Bluetooth it, I suppose. Anyway, the point is that at the moment it's reduced from 80 quid to 37. So that's the bargain basement news on that one. And for those that want to game with their Android phone, it is a very well reviewed and made device.
That's actually quite tempting at that price. That's a good option. It looks like there's someone there who's put up. I think it's a Pixel or Samsung, but they've had to take their case off to get it in.
Right. Yeah.
So it does look like it might be a wee bit tight for some phones, but I wouldn't mind giving it a go to see if I could do a bit of Steam Link on there. Yeah, £37. Maybe if I hadn't bought so much in the last 24 hours. Maybe. Because one of the other things that I bought in the last 24 hours, other than a new screen that I'll go on about in the next show, is from Ted's recommendation, actually, the Ugreen Nexode 100-watt USB Type-C charger plug. This is a 4-port GAN Type-C fast wall power adapter. That supports 20-watt compatible MacBooks and iPad minis and things like that, but can do on the top a total of 100 watts out, because I'm sick of my Chromebook dying beside me whenever I'm sitting up here because I can't charge it. And I leave the charger down in the house. So I got one of these to go into a Ugreen dock that I bought last week that I put out on Twitter because it had 100 watt pass through and an Ethernet. And I think this plus a 100 watt charging cable will be a great solution. It's down from £70 to £55 and 95p, which is hardly an absolute bargain, but it's still enough of a saving that it might be the kind of thing that you need to take with you when you go on holiday.
It's certainly cheaper than when I bought mine, and so I think that's a bit of a bargain. It's a great device, and it was recommended by Steve Litchfield originally, incidentally, who was raving about it, and it is very good, very powerful, and it charges my phones in no time. We're back to Razer now. It's the Niga Trinity. Have you ever seen this? I haven't, and I wondered to myself, how have I missed this? It looks like great fun. It's like a modular mouse. on the left-hand side, you can change the panels. You get with this mouse, which is reduced from 100 quid to 47 quid. You get three interchangeable side panels, one of which is a 0 to 9 T9 calculator pad. One is a circular number pad, and one's 2 buttons. It looks like great fun.
It's 1 to 12, not 0 to 9. 1 to 12.
Oh yeah, 1 to 12. So yeah, it just looks like really, really good fun. I mean, I personally don't do enough gaming, I suppose, to make use of it, but I'm sure someone out there might. Were you aware that this existed?
No, I wasn't. I'm quite intrigued by it. Not that I would ever move away from what I have, but yeah, you click off the side, depending on what game you're playing, and you've got a ring from 1 to 7, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 7, 6, 5, 4, 1 in that ring.
That's weird, isn't it?
And then the 1 to 12, if you have a look closely at it, you can see that the buttons are all sort of indented in a particular way, so you can tell by your thumb which one you're on. A bit like not like your F and J key, but the 5 appears to be pointing upwards, and then the 8 is flat, and then the 11 is pointing upwards as well, and the 2 is pointing downwards. It's a wow. Okay, I know that people do like having buttons that they can click on the fly to be able to do particular things whilst they're in a game. If they're playing Call of Duty, they can assign certain things to certain buttons, and the more memory function buttons they have, the better. But this takes it to a whole new level. Wow.
What, I wonder why the 1, 2, 3 switches to round, and then it's 4, 5, 6, 7 on the bottom. That just seems quite odd. I suppose it makes sense if you know about this stuff, and it probably, as you say, fits in with some game or other that it's going to make the most of it. Anyway, it looks like great fun to me. It is wired, beware. It's not wireless, but it is reduced to less than half price. So if you fancy it, it's got all sorts of good fun going for it.
There's a wireless version as well,
is there?
though. Yeah. And it's £92.
Right.
Which is down from...
Is that the Hyperspeed? Oh yeah, the Hyperspeed.
£100 as well. Yeah.
The Niga V2 Hyperspeed. Do you get the 3 panels with it the same?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think you only just get the 1 to 12.
That's no good then. With the other one, it's half price, and you get the panels with it. What?
Yeah.
The other... yeah.
All right. Moving on to the... Oh, well, I figured I'd throw this in because I picked up that Ugreen one. I was still thinking, what happens if you don't need the pass-through and the Ethernet, and you just want basic USB Type-C functionality to be increased. This is a USB Type-C hub that goes into your USB Type-C port on your laptop and allows you to have another USB Type-C, 2 USB 3 sockets, a micro SD card and a full-size SD card slot, and a 4K HDMI out. It says that it's PD 100 watts as well, so it's basically just it's what I bought, but without the Ethernet. And it's £13.63. It's made by Hopday, Hopday, and it's down from 20 quid. I think that's ridiculously cheap for what it is, given that it does 100 watts.
Yeah, the pass-through 100-watt charging is a real boon. I've got one similar to this, which costs an awful lot more than this, and it's not actually very good. Unless you put the pass-through charger in. So as soon as you power it up with the pass-through charging, it suddenly comes to life and it's absolutely brilliant. But if you try and use it without putting the charger in my experience, it was like really laggy and kept missing things and all the rest of it. But mine is not a Hopday, mine's another make, so it could be different. But yeah, that's an incredible bargain, isn't it?
It is, and I'm having a look at some of updates, other ones as well, and I found one of those wedge ones that goes under your entire laptop that has three USBs, a headphone socket, an SD card, an Ethernet, VGA as well. Wow, it's got loads of stuff on it, and it's $39.99.
Wow.
I'll throw that in as well, so you folks can get some action with that too.
Very nice.
If you need it.
Very good indeed. Now, the last one, before you get lynched, is the Oppo Pad Air. Someone else calling their tablet a pad and adding in another Apple word being Air.
Yeah.
How many Apple words can we call our device so that we get the Apple crowd? I know.
Oppo's not a million miles away from Apple either. There's two P's in there.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, this has been reduced from... We've covered this one on the show before, incidentally, so we won't drill through it all again, but it's a very nice-looking tablet, which is reduced from 240 quid to 180, and it is just over 10 inches, so not quite as big as the OnePlus one, but it looks very, very nice indeed, and you save 25%.
Excellent. It's a good-looking tablet. I've often thought about picking one of these up myself, just to play with and have a review of.
Indeed.
But never did. Right, well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can by emailing us at gareth@techaddicts.uk. You can also find us on Twitter too, at techaddictsuk. You can find me on Twitter at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. I also have included a fancy link to Mastodon if you want to find me there too, and my .com in the show notes, and you can go there and find out all about me if you need to. Ted, where can they find you?
They can find me at tedsalmon.com. Links to all I do there, audio podcasts and MeWe groups and all the rest of it. So yes, that's at tedsalmon.com. And if you want to buy me a coffee, you can do that. That's at tedsalmon. Sorry, I'll start that again. That's at paypal.me/Ted Salmon. But yes, hopefully we'll see you in the MeWe group.
Terrific. And we're going to catch you in 2 weeks when I'll have a new thing that we've alluded to a number of times. And Ted will probably have a new thing as well. You always have something new to play with, don't you?
Yes, I might have a new phone.
Oh.
So we'll tease that one.
How exciting. Could be anything. It could be an HTC Universal. It could have felt inspired, and it could be on eBay at the moment, throwing £130 into the toilet.
I'll tell you,
right.
The one tease to add to it is that it's a giant phone.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time, yes, with that.
All right, take care now.
Bye.
You may now be seated.